Hi there.
Sorry, I just remembered I was meant to knock on the other door.
Yeah, you need to come in this way. You realise this is visit number 9,
Right.
including
I
the
did have a quick look through the history
yeah,
and see that we've been out here multiple times.
including the councillor at one time, Kevin Blenko, who I know quite well.
Right, okay.
But this has not changed. What is going on in here? This is the problem. Get you some more light on there. What happens when it rains heavily?
Yeah.
That false hill, which is East Road,
Yeah.
a lot of water gathers in that. So then it goes under the foundations where Severn Amblecott is,
Right.
cuts up under, and somehow puts pressure under here, which forces a puddle of about 1/4 of an inch deep of water.
So you actually have a puddle of water.
Puddle of water
here,
about 1/4 of an inch deep.
and that's when it rains heavily.
Yeah. And they give it a day or so and it comes up under here. You see, I tried to seal it
I was
off.
going to say, I see that's you being around with expanding foam, is it?
Yeah, trying to stop it, you see. And as I say, you get about 1/4. That's why I put the foam here, to try and absorb some of the water. And when I first came here, there were tide marks halfway across the room.
Yeah.
I wondered how that got there, and then of course a little while I discovered it. As soon as it rained, then I got this kind of deal of 1/4 of an inch of water
Yeah.
coming up.
And is it only when we get like a very heavy downpour, is it?
Well, when there's been a sufficient amount of rain to push the water, I think, because as I say, that's a false hill there, and this used to be a rubbish dump
Right, okay.
long ago. So there might be sort of gaps underneath
Quite possibly,
that's taking in water, and then somehow the seal, you know, there's a kind of pitch seal on top of the hardcore, is broken somewhere. So I think myself that there's a body of water underneath these floors, and what confirms that to me is that it's so cold, and it retains its cold even in hot weather.
Yeah.
It's cold in here, and it's like cold underneath the floor, and the floor's always freezing cold. And I think that's because there's a body of water under here, and possibly under the front room as well.
Yeah, I mean, the heating thing, your radio's not positioned in the best place to...
Well, to cope with that. What they've said all the time is, no, it's just condensation because you don't open the windows enough. But condensation won't produce 1/4 of an inch of water in the window like that. You know, it'll make damp, like you've got damp around here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the damp issue can be, that's down to sufficient heating and ventilating of the property,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you're aware.
But if you've got a body of water there, then,
Yeah, then that's
it's
something
being
else.
defeated all the
And
time.
again, if it's happening only when it rains, then
Yeah.
clearly that's something else. Can I just test that wall with a damp meter there?
Yeah, certainly do. All the last thing they did was this box of red box there.
Yeah.
Is all stuff to clean the
mould off.
the mould off,
Yeah.
but it's industrial strength.
Yes.
And I have 2 problems with that. One, I'm blind in the left eye.
Right.
The right eye's had 13 injections so far with the Lucentis because I'm very disturbed vision, rather like a Francis Bacon painting. Everything's
okay.
melting all the time in this eye that I can see a bit with, but not very much. Plus, all over my skin, I have broken skin because of the PXE, which is a pseudoxanthoma elasticum, which is a hereditary condition.
Right, okay.
Basically, it means that inside of the arteries and blood vessels are calcified. Well, like the kettle
Yeah.
on the outside of the element, but actually inside the blood vessels and veins.
Right, okay.
It makes them very brittle and so
and
on.
hardening up and...
But this expresses in, as you can see, these breaches in epidermis all over my skin. You know, you get it at different degrees, and because it's come on late in my life, I've got it very strong now. So I've got them all over me, kind of. I have to put cream on me. But the thing is, the fumes, even the fumes from those chemicals, are strong enough to irritate that really badly.
Right.
So you know, dumping
that's
a
a
box
no-go.
of chemicals on
Yeah.
my doorstep and saying, "No, you clean it up." You know what I mean? What an attitude! And as I've had that attitude from the housing officers, I've had that attitude from the technical services people coming here, and I'm sorry, but this is coming from Andrew Latcham, area housing manager for the North Arbury.
Yes.
So it shouldn't have any effect on what's happening to southern housing at all, but does.
No, I mean, his counterpart in the south is Sandra Farmer, who's asked me to come out.
Yeah, but he's completely ubiquitous, that man. and been responsible for some nasty things that have happened to me at Campkin Road. And I'm quite sure he knew the state of this flat when I was moving into it, and he thought, oh yeah, because there's a good chance this damp could have killed me from pneumonia. And actually, just 2 weeks ago, my dog died,
Oh, sorry to hear that.
and that may well have been a contributor to her death. This mould all the time.
Well, I mean, it's certainly not good for living conditions.
No.
You know, as is well documented.
Particularly when you're ill already, and I am very ill from not only the
Anybody with respiratory or lung problems or anything else, it's not going to help with
the PXE and
Right, just take some photos.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I have a prostate condition as well that keeps me sort of unable to work and like that. And if you want to pull the curtain back to get some more light.
That's all right. That's fine. It gives me a good idea. So, obviously we've got 8,000 properties. We go out to a lot of properties
Yeah.
which are mould.
Yeah.
We get called out to people saying, "I've got a damp house," and they're not. It is educating people into using their heating, ventilating the property to stop themselves getting mould. If it was a wider spread mould problem to do with that, you would see it elsewhere. Obviously, it normally presents itself on external walls,
Yeah.
in areas where basically the cold walls, because any moisture in the property then settles on the cold walls at night time when it cools down. That's where it condensates, and that's where you get the mould. But looking around your properties, you would start to see it. It would spread. You would see it in other corners and behind furniture and things like this.
It's all at this side of the room, but of course
It's almost exclusively in that bay.
these books have been destroyed by being there, and I didn't realise, and then it's too late now, they're all messed up really. Everything that was put down there, and then down on that side as well.
Yeah.
Anything that could be damaged by damp was really.
You obviously got this, a very definite tide mark
Yeah.
on the wall there, which indicates rising damp rather than condensation mould.
That's what I've been saying all along, you see.
Condensation
5
mould
years this has been going on like this.
would be more in the corner across the head of. Obviously you're going to get some of that
Yeah.
because you've got moisture in this area,
And
so some of it will condensate.
rise up. But as you see, it's not over here, is it? You see?
No,
No.
no. I mean I've tested. I mean that back wall there is very damp, and then less so as you get to this side of the wall here, where there's nothing there on the wall. It's dry.
But I mean,
dry, so
I
it's
did-
purely in that bay.
I did do a right to buy, which meant specifically because you'd get a surveyor come in here,
Right. Okay.
and he looked at it and said severe damp
Yeah.
on his report straight away. And I had another set of people come in to drill some holes to see if it was something that could be dealt with by filling, putting in cavity wall insulation. But that's already been done on this apparently.
No, it's
So-
cavity wall insulation will. I mean, it would have been in here from when these were built. The age
Yeah.
of the properties would be in there.
That's already been done. As the guy tested, and it's already there. You see, so
Yeah. What I'd like to do, if it's all right with you, is we've got a company we use who are specialists in damp, in
right.
actual damp. They're called Propertech, and they purely deal with damp and infestation, kind of woodworm and things like that.
Yes.
So they're damp experts. What they can do is I'll get them to come out, if it's all right with you, give me their professional opinion. I think it's rising damp in
Yeah.
this area. I think the damp-proof course along here has failed,
Mm.
and that's where you're getting the ingress of water coming in. Now we can obviously rectify that. It does involve some, a bit of disturbance. We need to take the plaster off to this area.
Yeah.
We need to re-inject a damp-proof course, because whereas it was put in as a kind of bituminous material to start with, they now have a silicon damp-proof course. They can drill the wall and inject it at certain intervals all the way around.
Right.
That works very well.
That would be better. I mean, I can't occupy this room at all. I couldn't sleep in here or something like that. You see.
I mean, obviously, they will come back with their. They don't work for the council. They're an independent company, so they will come back with an independent proposal. I would imagine that's what they'll do.
Right.
Is that they will agree with me that it's damp, because they'll test it with their equipment, which is similar to ours, which will show high levels of damp. Which in this temperatures and things we're having at the moment, you wouldn't expect any condensation or anything like that. So it's in the wall somewhere.
Because, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think really when they built the Grafton Centre, because I used to live in Amblecott up there
Right, okay.
years ago, And when they built Grafton Centre, the pressure they kind of put on the whole water system
Yeah.
from that development, then again is coming on to that mound, which is a false mound they built up to
Yeah.
make East Road, you see.
It's quite difficult. People don't seem to realise that the buildings are like, like anything, any kind of ecosystem and like that. And if you change one bit of it, it has a knock-on effect elsewhere.
Yeah.
And these are the things that.
But the money being made,
it will never stop.
No.
And there's a demand for it, and there's a need for it. But it's realising the impact that you have elsewhere.
it's understanding consequences to other places and
Exactly.
the rest of the area.
You
isn't
can't
it?
go and put something like the Grafton Centre in the centre of housing estate and not expect
Some
there's
sort
been
of,
issues.
sort of fallout from it, kind of thing.
so.
Your name again is, sorry?
My name's Oliver Westcott.
Right, I'm Jay.
Okay, I'm the principal surveyor, so I manage our surveyors now, our repair surveyors.
Right, okay.
So I've been brought in to do that job
Thank you.
and to deal with any particular issues that are more than a kind of a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I've come out myself rather than, because I looked at the history when I got an email yesterday asking me to look into it. I looked through the history and saw it's more than just a standard issue. We'd also been out here lots of times, that's why I wanted to come out myself.
I felt like I was banging my head against the brick wall because
I can only apologise
each time
for
they're
the-
coming back saying, "Oh, it's just condensation." It's not condensation. You don't get a quarter of an inch puddle
No.
from condensation. You might get this blackening on walls and all that kind of thing. I mean, I lived in all kinds of places when I was younger, bed sits and goodness knows what. There was some of them were very ropey, so I've understood about this kind of thing for a long time,
Yeah.
But I do think because I moved away from Campkin Road, when I was being very bullied up there, and I suffered 3 violent attacks up there,
Right.
and I don't know, they don't like me at the housing office, probably because I complain and that kind of thing. And I think,
Complaints are one thing, but if they're valid, then it's,
well,
it needs to be.
in that block of 8 flats on Campkin Road, I think 6 of the flats were drug dealers, and I mean Class A drug
Yeah, I know
dealers.
there is some problem.
And the police would just drive past and look.
The police know.
Yeah.
They know.
They knew very well
You speak to
what
a housing officer, they know where they all are, and it's in the
But they
hands of the
they had
police.
got themselves there into a position in their heads where they knew the police weren't going to do anything, so they could do what they liked,
That's the
and they
problem.
just went on like that.
Yeah.
You see, and boom, boom, what I call rave refugees. They used to go to raves, but now there aren't raves anymore. They sit in their bed sits or the flats,
with them.
boom, 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 till
Yeah.
5 o'clock in the morning. Every bloody night. We had that for 4 years over there, so it was really bad. But they wouldn't do anything, and I got these 3 attacks. In the end, some guy was chasing me around with a 9-foot metal pole trying to hit me
Right. Not what you need.
in the
Right.
evening, and it was actually seen by the police, so he was put in a cell overnight and let out next day. And I
The
think
problem
he was-
doesn't go away, does it?
No.
If it's
Not with those kinds of people, because I think, and it's not meaning to put them down, but the thing is, I think they're happier when they're in jail because they don't have to pay bills. They're fed every day, and they got their mates, because their mates are often there as well, and they're more secure in a prison than they are out in the world.
I've actually heard of that in some of our tenants because a lot of them get themselves into trouble when they come out.
Mm-hmm.
They have people after them. They get into debt. They have issues with drugs and things. And I've been into. We had a fire at a property a while ago, and the bloke ended up jumping out the second floor window
Mm-hmm.
and damaging his legs. And fire brigade were phoned but couldn't get in, and the reason was he'd barricaded his front door. So every day when he came in, he barricaded the front door, which meant he couldn't get out in the event of fire. Fire brigade couldn't get in, and the reason was he'd not long been out of prison. He got into all sorts of trouble. People were after him, so he had to barricade himself in his house.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
ended up going back to prison, and I think he was, like you said, probably.
I think a lot of them are because they don't have to pay their bills. They have to cope with everything, and
Everything's regimented and sorted for them, isn't it? It's-
exactly. And I think there might even be a sort of idea, because I had this idea about, I sent it to the Home Office section, about the idea of converting freight containers into housing,
Right.
but having a place where people could live and work, where they were supported, but they were making kits to convert freight containers into
Done that
housing.
elsewhere in the world, haven't they?
I-
They've done that. I've seen.
They've certainly converted freight
Freight
containers,
containers.
but
Yes, I
I,
don't know about the system.
I wanted to set up as an industry, so they
Yeah.
were making kits to do that. They were going out all over the world, and they could find the containers locally and train people locally to do that. in like I don't know, different poor countries where they're needing to set up housing and
Yeah.
farming. You see, and people could work there, do that, create these kits, but be supported in the living accommodations and so
Yeah.
on.
Try and
So-
reintegrate them back
Yeah.
into society.
Well, so they weren't in this position where you've got to pay this bill, you've got to pay that bill, you've got to go there, go do this, got to do that. Because a lot of them just can't cope with that once they've been inside for a long time. They don't have that mechanism anymore
No, that's right.
to dealing with life, you know. So that's a big part of it, I think. But I don't know, if we can get something done about it, I'd really appreciate that.
I'll get our damp specialist Propertech out. Are you alright for me to pass on your number?
Oh yes,
to them?
yeah.
So they can phone up. They'll make an appointment, generally within a week or so.
I mean, certainly during winter, I think it's just quite dangerous. You know, you could die from pneumonia. I've been in hospital with pneumonia before.
The hope is if I can get onto them now,
Hmm.
they can come out within the next week or two. If they propose, proposal, whatever they propose, I will get authorised and get done. Then obviously it'll be done before winter
Thanks.
because
Yeah.
that's going to be cold. It's going to be wet.
It has for
It's
the
gonna
last
be
5 years. It's been miserable, really.
A
You know,
magnet for all your heat.
And
It's
it-
going to be
what it's
down.
cost me in running heating and that kind of thing
Exactly.
to try and just keep it dry, you know,
Yeah.
and keep it warm in
And
here
that's
for the dog
aside
and I.
from things getting damaged and everything else.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
if we can get that sorted for you, long before winter, and that's the ideal.
That would be much appreciated.
No problem at all. No, like I said, I can only apologise that it's gone on for so long and that you've had.
Well, as I say, when I first moved in and the tide mark was up here, I thought, oh dear, there's something going on here. And then as winter came on and the rains were coming on towards winter, as I say, each time you get a heavy rainfall for a bit,
Yeah,
literally within 5 or 6 hours, you've got this quarter of an inch deep puddle
the
up
problem
here.
is now that we seem to get more and more of the torrential downpours where we're getting a lot of water in a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
And I mean, Thursday night we had floods everywhere
Yeah.
because our systems just can't cope with
that
it.
storm
Our
was
road
amazing.
systems, our guttering systems,
I was watching it
drainage.
from 1 o'clock at about 3:30.
Yeah,
That was lightning all the time.
yeah, just constant.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
continuous.
Torrential rain, and
Bizarre. And then
lots of our bit we're just not geared up.
the Heart Shop across there, what is now the charitable shop, used to be the restaurant place. All their roof came in. You know,
really?
yeah. Went in the actual shop and it was all taped off where, down on the ground floor. It had obviously come through from the ceiling through 3 floors there.
Yeah, it came through the ceiling in our customer service centre.
Really did in Mandel House.
Yeah, that was flooded. That was shut. They've only just gone back in there today.
Yeah.
Adam Brooks was shut for the day for all operations.
But-
Today flooded. It's Barnwell Road was shut.
A lot of weather's like that now, though, isn't it? I mean, I watch this kind of thing called Suspicious Observers. I don't know if you ever come across it.
No, I don't know.
What it actually is, it's the weather on the sun, but it's the influence of the weather of the sun on our
So hot
systems.
spots or something coming off the sun. will
Exactly, CMEs, that kind of thing. And the sun's going into a low period at the moment, but it's been quite an active period that then it drops into a very low period. But the effects on the jet stream and different other effects on this world,
Yeah.
because of the terrestrial effects coming in, you can see it. I mean, they run maps of the jet stream and different wind and different
So the correlation of these.
suspicious observers. You can find it on YouTube, SO. But the thing is, it's very interesting how what happens out there affects what happens here.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, particularly jet stream and that kind of thing. And they run all the maps showing you, on a daily basis, and it's all public available information, but they bring it all together in one place. So you're seeing the whole effect of the whole weather of the planet and the celestial bodies as they move around and change. And there's a lot of what do you call it, when they meet up and they're in particular aspects and so on. At the moment, when they're actually getting into these particular aspects that are creating effects.
Right.
That's why you've got a lot of volcanoes going off, a lot of earthquakes occurring, and a lot of these major storms. And there's 3 in a row hitting China and Japan
That's right. Yeah.
the last few days. So, but it's worth looking up if you're interested in that kind of stuff, because it gives you a clue of what's on the way. Several days before it's hitting, you're getting sort of the idea of what it's going to be. But I mean, as I say, some of the typhoons and other things that have been going on.
There's a lot. I speak to a friend of mine who's a meteorologist, He works at the Met Office, and he also does comment to the RAF.
Right.
So he's doing weather, the general weather